today. On Saturday night, UFC 314 in Miami, we found out that not all rookies or newcomers to the octagon are created equal. As we saw Diego Lopez make the attempt to capture the featherweight championship, but was taken out by the old veteran Alexander Volkanovski, we realized not everybody is Ilya Topuria. Also, put some respect on Paddy Pimblett's name. Put it on there right now. Put some respect on his name right now. Right now. Right now. Do it. Put it on there like jelly and peanut butter on bread. Spread it on there. You know what I'm talking about? All of this and more on today's episode of Matter of Fact MMA. What's up? What's happening? Let's go. What's up, guys? We right back at it. We right back with it. It's your boy, Matt. And we are here to go over UFC 314. Look, man, it was an outstanding card. There were some good fights, even on the prelims, you know what I'm saying? Outstanding card. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the main card and one fight off the prelims. We don't have a moment to wait, so let's get to it. In the main event, Alexander Volkanovski, Alexander the Great, goes out there and defeats Diego Lopez. Great fight. You know, it was one of those fights where you're really not sure what you're going to see. You know what I'm saying? You're really not sure. You know, I sit on here on my pre-fight video and I laid out the way that I thought Diego Lopez was going to win. That's not how it went down. And it shows you that not all veterans are created equal. You know what I'm saying? Not all GOATs are created equal in the sport, and not all rookies are created equal in the sport. So I've seen, a lot of fighters that were at the top, not just of the division, but of the sport. You know what I'm saying? Eventually go out there, and no matter what they do, they're not able to get back in that position. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Max Holloway. He would be one of them. Shout out to Jose Aldo. He would be one of them. Shout out to Israel Adesanya. Even though I don't like him, he would be one of them. But not all veterans are created equal. Because Alexander Volkanovski is not one of them. He's one of them. You know what I'm saying? He ain't one of them veterans that's going to go out there and keep trying to get the belt back and not do it. He's one of them. He going to go out there. He's a GSP. He getting the belt back, even though GSP went to another division. It's coming back. And actually, he did get it back at welterweight. Nevertheless, bro, Alexander Volkanovski went out there. I would not say he put on a show. The beginning of the fight, Volkanovski looked to be in good form. As the fight went on, let's all be honest, let's all be real about this. That Volkanovski beat Diego Lopez, but he wasn't on the same level or caliber as the Volkanovski that we all grew to love. Okay? Let's just be honest. Now, I'm not saying he won't perfectly go out there and handle his next opponent, but let's be real. Diego Lopez looked a little sloppy. You know what I'm saying? He looked a little sloppy. He fought well, but he looked to be a little bit off balance at times. And especially once Volk started catching him with that jab and stinging him with that right hand. You know what I'm saying? It just seemed like Lopez wasn't expecting maybe that power coming from Volk. Volk came in tremendous condition, looked like a little tank out there, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I don't feel like this is the Volk that handled the Korean Zombie, that handled Yair Rodriguez, that beat Max 3 times. You know what I'm saying? That was just going out there and handling people to the point where you're just like, I don't think this guy can lose. He was stung. He was stung severely. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like 25 wasp stings. You know what I'm saying? He was stung severely by Diego Lopez. At one point, really, really wobbled him. But, bro, dropped him, I believe. And another time, he caught a fist to the eye, which really seemed to affect him, in which I believe that if Lopez would have really, really chased him down and really poured on the gas at that moment, he could be the featherweight champion of the world. But it is what it is. But shout out to Alexander Volkanovski. He goes out there, he gets the win. And as I said at the top of the show, not all rookies or newcomers to the octagon are created equal. Even though these guys have been around for 4 or 5 years, well, not Diego Lopez, but you get what I'm saying. It's still one of those things where you're still a newcomer, right? In a way, when we're talking about guys like Volk, who fought Chad Mendez. That's how long Volk been around, you know what I'm saying? Bro. Volk been around so long, he actually fought Jose Aldo at featherweight. That's how long he's been around. He had hair. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, bro, Diego Lopez, not all rookies are created equal. So that was my own fault. I really feel like Diego Lopez is an awesome fighter. He's a really good fighter. And I'm not going to tell you he won't be champion one day, because I could definitely see it, especially in the way that division is shaping up. But not all rookies are created equal. Maybe I had a little bit of that Ilya Taporia dust rubbing off on me, and I really thought that Diego was going to be able to go out there and do tremendous things like Ilya. But it is what it is. Shout out to Alexander Volkanovski. Shout out to Diego Lopez. He'll be back. We all know that. Let's move on. How about in the co-main event, Paddy the Baddy Pimblett goes out there and washes a washed fighter, a rinse fighter, who is Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler, first off, the cheater of all cheaters. We had a low blow. We had his corner spilling water between rounds to try to give him a few extra seconds, try to revive himself. You know what I'm saying? Revive himself. Bro, even with all the cheating, even with everything, Paddy Pimblett went out there and did his thing. Now, here's what I would say. Paddy looked tremendous. Paddy looked amazing out there. He was quick. You know what I'm saying? His striking, while it wasn't the most crisp or the perfect striking, it got the job done. And it was working Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler can take a shot. It was working Michael Chandler. With that being said, and the ground game looks amazing. It always has for Paddy. The submissions looked amazing. You know what I'm saying? It was great. Here's the thing, though. One thing about fighting, sometimes if you got a secret as you enter into the octagon, you got to hold on to that secret, right? And put that out there at the right time. With this fight, Paddy Pimblett has let the secret out the bag. Paddy Pimblett was on a trajectory in which a lot of his opponents were going to take him lightly. Because, he does the Paddy dance. He comes out. Yeah, he does all this crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? And, he's got funny things. He calls people your mushrooms. He calls people crazy things. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, bro, the secret is out. Because he went out there and he worked Michael Chandler. And regardless of if Michael Chandler was just a punching bag, just a body bag for that day, fighters, you know what I'm saying, are going to be able to see, oh, Paddy ain't joking no more. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be very interesting in his upcoming fights, because I feel like a lot of fighters, like when we saw him out there against Bobby Green, we was like, well, Bobby might be washed. I don't know. I feel Sags, I'm a Bobby fan, but King Green, he might be washed. But Paddy looked all right, but it was kind of like King Green's kind of in a weird part of his career. We're like, okay. And make no mistake, Michael Chandler is washed. But what you could see from the Paddy technique, his size that he put on, the muscle he put on, the fact he's taking it seriously now that he's a father, the secret is out. And his next few fights, they're going to be game planning for him. Shout out to Paddy Pimblett. Shout out to you, lad. Shout out to you, lad. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Paddy Pimblett. He went out there and did his thing. And, you know what I'm saying? He moves forward. And I'm interested to see, you know, I for one, let's make no mistakes about this. Paddy Pimblett is improved. He looked outstanding out there, and he beat a lot of people at the top of lightweight. Please stop with trying to revisit this feud with Ilya Topuria. Okay? You're going to get Paddy killed out there. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get him killed out there. Come on, this is Ilya Topuria. You know what I'm saying? I know he might have changed his nickname, but this is the El Matador. You know what I'm saying? Ilya Topuria. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all don't even understand. Anyway, let's move on. How about Yair Rodriguez goes out there and defeats by unanimous decision Patricio Pitbull? This fight, in a way, it definitely didn't play out how I thought it was going to play out. What I would say is I'm not sure if Pitbull had octagon jitters or what, because Pitbull is used to fighting and being undersized. So I'm not going to say that the size of Yair did anything to him. And, you know, and shout out to Yair Rodriguez. At the end of the day, he just seemed like a better fighter. And that's what it is. But I will say, I didn't really see that fight or, no pun intended, that bite from Pitbull that we've seen in previous fights. But nevertheless, man, shout out to Yair Rodriguez. He goes out there, gets a win. Now, with that being said, he's calling for a title shot against Alexander Volkanovski. That I do not agree with. That I don't agree with. I mean, yeah, you did go out there and beat Pitbull, but Pitbull ain't even been in the organization. So, and you got washed by Volk the first time. So, in my opinion, man, go out, unless you're worried about taking that L, go out there, UFC Noche. So, do it at the correct pay-per-view later this year. If they go back to the Sphere, if they don't go back to the Sphere, they just do a regular UFC Noche. Please, bro, fight Diego Lopez. You beat Diego Lopez, then people might believe that you might be able to go out there and defeat Volk. But if they throw him in there with Alexander now, I think Volk gets him out of there. Nevertheless, Yair Rodriguez goes out there and gets the win. We'll see how that goes. I can't believe he started that whole battle, that whole fight at the press conference with Diego Lopez. Now that he's won, he's not trying to fight him. Now, granted, I know Diego lost and you won the title shot, but bro, you need to get a little bit more ground, you know what I'm saying, under your feet before you try to walk in there with, Alexander the Great. Nevertheless, let's move on. How about, the people's main event? Bryce Mitchell goes out there and gets submitted by John Silva. This was yet another great addition to this card. For the most part, like, this was an interesting fight because when you go back and you look at it, Bryce Mitchell did not do a lot to John Silva. But as you're watching this fight, the tension was so thick. You know what I'm saying? It was so thick, bro. You could have hacked at it with a machete and it wouldn't have budged. The tension was thick because you're sitting there, you're watching this, you're like, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? John Silva can't lose. You can't let, evil Bryce win. Oh my God. What if Bryce does win? What's going to happen? Oh my God. It was deep, bro. And part of the fight, the fans were cheering a little bit for Bryce. As the fight began to play out, most of them shifted over to John Silva. John Silva goes out there, gets the win, snatches the man's neck. And it was a violent choke out. Like, it was violent. That's one thing about Bryce Mitchell. When Bryce Mitchell loses, it looks bad. Like, he's a man that knows how to lose in spectacular fashion. Like, it'd be looking bad. You know what I'm saying? But John Silva goes out there, gets a win. I haven't seen the interview yet, but I believe he's calling for, he said something about a title shot. Not so fast. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that this man couldn't go out there and win the championship, but just pump your brakes. I'd be better with Yair getting a shot before John Silva. I mean, you beat Bryce Mitchell, good on you, bro, but hold off for a second. You know what I'm saying? You gotta beat a couple more people. You know what I'm saying? You gotta hold off. Nevertheless, what you want to say, man? John Silva, outstanding post-fight celebration. Great on the mic afterwards. I mean, outstanding. Also, in the post-fight press conference, he actually said that he's about to get married. He's offered Dana White to be the best man at his wedding as long as Dana White pays for a specific wedding singer that is, from what I understand, is way out of John Silva's pay grade or his range. Shout out to this guy. You know what I'm saying? That's the best way to get Dana White at your wedding and to get something paid for. Shout out to this guy. He goes out there, he does his thing. We'll see what the rebrand will look like for Bryce Mitchell, but that was that. Let's move on. Next, we had Dom Reyes. Dom Reyes had one of the best feel-good moments of the night when he goes out there and he defeats Nikita Krylov. Bro, shout out to Dom Reyes. He is now defeated by knockout. And it was a rough knockout. Like, it was a knockout. And did the patented, he should get a t-shirt made if he don't already got one. The Dom Pull 2. You know what I'm saying? That Dom Pull 2. Bro. That Dom Pull 2 is going to end up being legendary. Shout out to Dom Reyes. Shout out to everything surrounding him. Every post-fight speech he gives is moving. It's about making it out of a dark place. It's about comebacks. It's about the world counting you out and you still being in it. It's about picking yourself back up and going back out there and trying it again. Dust yourself off, try it again. Bro, now this, unlike Yair Rodriguez, in this division, he said he wants one more, so I would give him one more. But if he wins one more, UFC, give the man a title shot. Give the man a title shot to make up for the Jon Jones fight. Give the man a title shot because the build up to him fighting for the title would be huge because a lot of people who've been around forever, and if anything, excuse me, most people know Dom Reyes for being the guy that beat John but wasn't given the win. Bro, that's kind of what he's known for. And then going on this horrible losing streak and making his way back. Give the man a title shot. He says he wants one more fight. Let him go out there and fight one more fight. If he wins that fight, give him the title shot, bro. Because at the end of the day, everyone's going to be invested to see this guy. As long as it's not Pereira, they already don't like the light heavyweight champion. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're going to give Pereira a rematch and he wins. But as long as it ain't Pereira, bro, no one is out here clamoring to see that the light heavyweight champion. So it's like, bro, give Dom Reyes a title shot after he gets another win. Let him go out there and do his thing, because if he loses, it's still a feel-good story. He could still give a great post-fight speech about, rallying, pulling his career out of the dumps, making his way back, fighting for the championship, and now he rightfully lost that fight. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't taken from him by the judges. And if he wins, can you imagine if he wins? If Dom Reyes wins the championship after what he's gone through? And I'm saying this as a guy, I used to make videos making fun of Dom Reyes, and I feel bad about that. I might go back and delete them off my channel, because Dom Reyes really, that's that dude right there. The places that he came back from, and he had, pricks like me on the internet talking about him, and he still made it back. I salute him. Shout out to him, bro. Shout out to that man. Like I said, if he gets another win, give him a title shot. Only other fight I wanted to cover that was on the prelims, and this card had some outstanding fights. we got to talk about, hold on. We got to talk about Tresean Gore versus Marco Tulio. Tresean Gore versus Marco Tulio. I let my son watch this fight with me. This fight was action packed, because he ain't all into all the grappling and, ground game and wrestling and everything. So I told him, I was like, man, watch this fight. Watch this fight. I watched the first round already. I paused it. I went and told, I was like, bro, you got to watch this fight with me. This is going to be an action packed one. This will be one you like. We watched this fight. This fight was outstanding. Shout out to Tresean Gore. What heart. What heart. This man was finished like 3 different times. And he stayed with it. He kept fighting. He kept pursuing. He was even calling Tulio out, begging him on. Shout out to Marco Tulio. He eventually got the job done. This was a banging fight. These men went out there and was throwing hammers. You know what I'm saying? This was almost a bar fight. This was a battle. I definitely enjoyed it. I think, I saw on a MMA fighting video, on their channel that they were talking about. They think Tresean Gore might, it might be his last fight in the UFC. They might get rid of him. Man, I know his skill level ain't really quite there. I don't know if he could get with a different camp or, a different coach, and that might improve him. But I will say, man, he had a lot more heart in this fight than I've seen him have in other fights. And even though he's not a guy that will ever go on to be a champion or anything like that, guys like him, you know what I'm saying, and this is in middleweight, you can use guys like him with that much heart that don't go out that easily, that hang in there. It's not about propping him up to get wins. It's about propping him up against guys that you want to see get tremendous wins. You know what I'm saying? Because imagine now people already were somewhat barely aware of Marco Tulio. Now they got a highlight reel, 4 or 5 highlight reels from this one fight to prop up Marco Tulio. So if the UFC hasn't got rid of him yet, before they get rid of Tresean Gore, if that's where they're going, I'd throw him in there with another middleweight that you want to highlight, that you want to prop up. And, and if he gets the win, shout out to him, bro, because that dude's got heart. Nevertheless, man, that was UFC 314. You know what I'm saying? Outstanding. Another thing I'm interested in seeing is I want to see Virna Jandiroba goes out there and defeats Yan Xiaonan. I'm interested to see what they're going to do as far as her fighting for the championship, because Zhang Weili really wants to move up to fight Shevchenko, or at least whoever's going to be the champion after the Manon Fiorot fight. So it's going to be interesting to see, will they just make an interim championship, or if Weili's never coming back down, will they just basically strip her of the title, or she'll relinquish the title and you throw Jandiroba in there? I could see the UFC has been begging for years because of her looks and many other things. They've been begging for years to get Mackenzie Dern in a title shot, and even though I'd say Mackenzie probably would go out there and take that L, there's a world where the UFC might roll the dice and throw her in there with Jandiroba for that championship if Weili vacates it. Nevertheless, man, outstanding card, outstanding show. It was UFC 314. It went down in Miami. Very interesting to see. Afterwards, Paddy Pimblett and Kobe Covington got into a fight backstage, or argument at least. That's whatever, because they're not in the same weight class, and I hope Paddy's not dumb enough to move up to welterweight. Not now. So we'll see what's up, man. But once again, I do appreciate you guys for watching this. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I do want to thank you for checking out another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I check you next time. Peace.